Hey guys, welcome back to the kitchen here at Southern Dreams Homestead. My name is Patrick. Today I brewed a good strong cup of coffee. Not to drink, I've already had my coffee for the day. This is for bacon jam. Come along with us back into the kitchen. Let's make some bacon jam. Alright, so the first thing you need for bacon jam, very obviously, is bacon. Now we always have bacon around here, especially since pig season is here. At the end of the season, we'll have even more bacon. So we're always looking for new creative ways to use bacon. And recently a friend of mine and I have started a podcast called The Flavor Savers. And this month is January. We're talking about jams, jellies, and preserves. And we were talking about different ways to do jams and jellies. And one of the things I thought about was bacon jam. I'd always heard about it, never tried it, never thought about it beyond just, hearing about it. So we're doing a challenge this month. He's making a jam and I'm making a jam, and we're going to taste them, send each other samples, and see how we like them. And the bacon jam is going to be good. First things first, before I actually get started making it, I want to go ahead and portion out all of my ingredients. That way when I actually start the cooking process, it'll be a whole lot easier to just dump everything in. All right, so we got all of our ingredients all measured out and ready to go. What we're using is 2 pounds of bacon, 2 cups of roughly chopped onions, 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, a half a cup of brown sugar, light or dark, doesn't really matter. So in this measuring cup we have 1 cup of strong coffee, a half a cup of bourbon, we're using the Bullet brand bourbon, and a half a cup of apple juice. Now we're using applewood smoked bacon. I figured some apple juice would probably complement that flavor a little bit, so we mix those. We've got 2 cups of liquid, and then we've got a tablespoon of black peppercorn, a tablespoon of pink Himalayan salt, and 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika. The black peppercorn and the salt, I went ahead and ground up in the mortar and pestle, and just added the smoked paprika to it. So we're gonna get started frying the bacon up right now. I just rough chopped the bacon into pieces. It doesn't really matter because we're gonna put this in the food processor when we're done and kind of get it all finer, because I want it to be a little more of a spreadable jam instead of a chunky one. All right, our bacon is right where we want it. We're gonna go ahead and strain off as much of that as we can, put it on some paper towels, let it drain down, and then we'll take some of this grease out, strain it for our private reserve, and use the rest to saute off the onions until they're good and caramelized. All right, our bacon's been removed from the pan. We've strained off all the grease except for about a half a cup. We've got that in there now. We're going to turn the heat back up to about medium high. Once the grease gets good and hot, we're going to dump these onions in, let those caramelize. Now we're going to add the bacon back in, the brown sugar, get that good and mixed up. Brown sugar start coating all those ingredients. Man, it smells so good in here. We'll go ahead and add our liquid. Adding this liquid will also deglaze the bottom of the pan and get all those little crusty bits off the bottom. Good bacon flavor and onion flavor that's down embedded in the bottom of the pan. All right, now we're gonna bring this up to a simmer and just let it cook down. It's gonna take a little while for it to cook down, the juices to start thickening up, but it'll be definitely worth it in the end. Slowly but surely getting there. A lot of the liquid's starting to evaporate. starting to thicken up just a little bit. As it does, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of black pepper, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika. We broke the chunky salt and the black peppercorns down just a little bit. Got that in there. We're going to let it continue to render down until it is all thickened up a good bit. And then we're going to pop it in some cans and pop it in the pressure canner. So there we go. That's a good bubbly consistency. It's not super thin, but it is definitely thickened up a good bit. We're going to put this through the food processor now. I will tell you that I tasted it a little while ago and it wasn't quite sweet enough for us. So I added another ½ cup of brown sugar. So that's 1 cup of brown sugar total. And for those of you who are worried about being able to really taste the bourbon, I promise you, you will not taste it nearly as much as you think you will. It's a very mild flavor. You get a lot of the bacon, but you get a good undernote of the coffee flavor, and it is just really, really deep and dark and rich. It is so good. All right, we're gonna go ahead and turn this off now. Let it start to cool down just a little bit, and then we're gonna put it through the food processor. We're gonna put it in the jars, pop it into the pressure canner for 75 minutes, and call it a day. All right, we've got our bacon jam cooled down just a little bit. It's still warm, still good and hot actually. And we've got our canner going back there with our 1/4 pint jelly jars that we're going to be using to can this up. We're going to go ahead and put this through the food processor now, and when we get done with that, we're ready to can it up. All right, let's check it real quick and see what kind of consistency we've got, and if there's any big chunks left, we might be done. Ooh, boy, this looks good. One of the next things I'm going to try when it comes to bacon and jam is just a bacon tomato jam. We're also going to try just a straight tomato jam. So we've got a lot of stuff in our head that we're going to try. Let's pulse this up just a couple more times, and we'll be ready to get it in the cans. Look at that. Not too thick, because once it cools, it'll be even thicker, and we don't want it to be so thick that you can't spread it. Now, a lot of the recipes that I saw online said that you could reheat this to get it back to a spreadable consistency. I added extra liquid to mine in the hopes that we don't have to reheat it. So let's get this in the jars, get it in the canner, let's process it. Now, before we get started canning this, I wanted to go over a couple of things with you. First off, this is not an approved canning recipe from anywhere. You won't find it. It's not authorized. Now, that's not to say that it is unauthorized. It's just untested. So typically when you can preserves or jams or jellies, you do it in a water bath canner because of the sugar and acid content that are in there will lend to the preservation of the food itself. All you need to do is get it up to temperature and everything's good. With meat, you have to pressure can it. And bacon is one of those things that has never been really approved. It's not unapproved, but it's never really been on the approved list of things to can because of the density of the bacon. And what happens is when you're canning something, the heat from the liquid transfers through the jar. And unfortunately, bacon isn't always to the point to where it'll get all the way through because it's so dense, especially thicker cut bacon. So that's one reason why I use a thinner cut bacon, and also why I put it through the food processor, because I wanted to get those chunks smaller so that it will be penetrated by all the heat and kill any potential botulism or any microorganisms that are in there that would make the food go bad. So we're gonna go ahead and get this canned up. If you wanna can it, feel free to can it, but do it at your own risk. This is what people call rogue canning because it is not in the approved list, but we're gonna do it anyway. That said, if you don't want to can it, you can make up a small batch like this, and this is just a small batch. Pick up a small batch like this, put it in a couple of larger jars, give one to one of your friends or some of your family or something like that. They'll store in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. So make sure that you get it eaten by then if it lasts that long. All right, we're gonna get our jars filled up now and get them ready to process. We're gonna leave about half to quarter of an inch headspace at the top, probably closer to half an inch of headspace. I've got 12 quarter pint jars here. I'm not really sure how many it's gonna take, but we've got them all sterilized and ready to go, and we'll see how many we get filled. All right, so we're gonna get 7. Made a little bit of a mess here. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I cannot even begin to tell you how good this is. It's very, very savory. I'm not tasting the bourbon at all. So for those of you worried about the bourbon, don't. I taste the bacon, of course. I taste the sugar. I taste a good flavor of the coffee, but it's not too strong. Definitely get some of the smoked paprika and the garlic. The smoked paprika is it's a very thin layer, and the garlic has a very nuanced flavor. I'm telling you, the garlic is good. You know it's there, but it's not overpowering. The bacon really shines through. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. All right, we're going to get our jars cleaned off now. We don't want anything on the rim of the jar. So we've got a little paper towel with a little bit of vinegar on it just to clean the top, so that when we put the lid on it, it makes a good contact and it's not impeded by any, see all the bacon, onion bits and stuff. We don't want any of that on there. We don't want any grease. We don't want any sticky on there. We just want it to be good, clean contact with the lid so that it'll make a good seal when it's processing. Got the lids ready to go on. Finger tight only. You don't want it to be too tight because you want some of the air to escape during the canning process. So do not over tighten your lids. All right, all 7 of them in the canner. Get our lid on. Now, what we're looking for here is a good steady stream of steam. Once that begins, we'll set a timer for 10 minutes. Let all the air out of the system, and then we'll put our weight on there. Once we get our weight on there, I'll tell you what we do next. All right, there's our steady stream of steam coming out of the canner. We're gonna give it 10 minutes on a timer, and as soon as that timer is up, we're gonna put our gauge, our weight on the canner and process at 11 pounds for 75 minutes. So see you in about 10 minutes. All right, our 10-minute timer is up. I'm gonna pop the weight on there. We're gonna let it sit until it gets up to 11 pounds of pressure on the dial. Once we get there, we're gonna cut the heat back and keep it at a constant 11 pounds for 75 minutes, and we will be done. That's it, guys. They're all sealed up. They've been out of the canner now for a little while. They've all sealed. I'm really excited about it. We're gonna open some up and try some in a little while too. Maggie's pretty excited about it, and we're gonna be sending some out to some friends and some family and letting them give it a good try. Next time we're gonna make a much bigger batch. This was, I said 2 pounds of bacon. It's actually 24 ounces of bacon. It's one of those 12-ounce packs. Actually about 24 ounces of bacon. But you could have done a full 2 pounds in this and been fine with the liquids and everything else. I'm really excited about this. I hope you guys are too. Make sure you check out our blog, southerndreamshomestead.com, for a tutorial blog post about this, a good recipe blog post about this. All the measurements will be on there. Also, make sure to follow us on all of our socials, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.